Hey, a week has passed. It's December 9th. How's your Christmas shopping doing? Have you remembered to set back the scales in your bathroom 10 pounds? Or have you gotten to the gym? I haven't done any of those things, and I'm just being honest with you. But hey, welcome back to the Christmas Compass. I will not be long today, probably about 12 minutes or so, a little shorter than I was last week. And I'm going to be talking about giving today. Giving is that easternmost compass point, if you will, on our Christmas compass. Now, some of you may have heard me use the word give and decided, hey, this is not for me, not today at least. But if you're still with me, if you haven't shut off the podcast or the Facebook page or whatever it is, I want you to know that you'll probably be hearing some straight talk about what I refer to as givers and takers, because our theme is give. That's the second compass point of our Christmas compass. And based upon my preparation for this second week together, I know that I personally have been stretched. I read things and from a variety of sources that made me go, ooh, that's hard. I've spoken with the numerous married folks that I am in contact with, and I have encouraged them that they listen to these Christmas compass messages on Monday together and process, what has been said and what are the implications and, what are we supposed to do with this information? When I was preaching at the university, I would regularly say that a sermon without application is a waste of time. And I know that's really quite a statement, but I want to be able to be practical. And so I don't want to totally recap things that I've said before, but let me just offer these reminders to you. When we were together last, I said that the Christmas season has its own fair share of anxiety and for a variety of reasons. And what I would want to say to you is you need to acknowledge that. You may not be in anxiety right now. You may not have anxious mode going on, but you want to be thankful for that. Living in anxiety is not God's design for your life. And if anxiety or worry is not part of God's design for your life, then what I'm wanting to say to you is to pursue peace. I also said last week that right priorities go a long way in reducing anxiety. Right priorities go a long way in reducing anxiety. But I also want to tell you the truth about that. Every priority has a price tag. The question you need to ask yourself is, am I willing, am I prepared to do that? And then lastly, the last thing that I tried to make a point of last Monday on December the 2nd was that creativity is a primary life force that keeps love alive. And my encouragement with that is develop creativity in your relationships, if for no other reason, for the sake of those around you. And so the Christmas compass, it's John 3:16. Again, this is the Passion Translation, and it reads in the following: Here's the way God loved the world. He gave his only unique Son as a gift, and everyone who believes in him will never die, but experience everlasting life. Now, last week, love was the identified northernmost part of our Christmas compass, and this week, give is our second or eastern marker on the Christmas compass. So now we're halfway through the compass. First part of the compass is identified as love. The second part, which we're dealing with today, has to do with giving. God so loved the world that he gave. Now, I remember talking with a person now many years ago about their failed first marriage. And when I spoke with her and and when I was speaking to her, she was now in a very happy second marriage. She'd been married for, probably at least 20 years. And I asked her, what do you attribute the success of your present marriage to? And they were quick to respond. And I've never forgotten this. They said, you know me to be a giver. And in my first marriage, I married a taker. A person can only live with that for so long. Today, I continue to be a giver. Regardless of my first poor marriage experience, I was still committed to being a giver. And today, I'm married to another giver. And a broad smile crossed her face. Now, to write on the second reflection of the Christmas Compass, I researched giving and taking, and specifically in relationships. And so for those of you who are in relationships with another, with a BFF, or you certainly hope that this one's not just Mr. Right now, but this is Mr. Right, these thoughts would be helpful for you. Some of these thoughts are challenging. As I did my own writing, I developed these ideas, and several of them could be a podcast all by themselves. I'm going to just, I have 7 of these statements that I've written down here, and I'm looking at my notes here, and I'm going to read these one at a time. I'm going to comment on a few. Time does not allow me. Again, I'm trying to cut to the chase here on this podcast. But here are some things that you would need to know about givers and takers. Number 1, the taker never gets tired of taking, but the giver gets tired of giving. I don't know if you've ever been in a one-way relationship where it's all about you giving, and the other person not at all. Point number 2, if you are a giver, set limits for yourself, because takers rarely have limits. If you are a giver, set limits for yourself, because takers rarely have limits. For some of you, the word boundaries is crossing your mind, and you'd be right with that. I put this up on my Facebook page the other day, and I got blown up with it. It was funny to hear some of the responses, but this is what I wrote. If a person in your life is offended at your no, the person is probably the reason for your no. You see this person, they're coming to you for one more favor. Well, it may not be a huge deal, but they're coming to you again. And finally you say to yourself, enough's enough, and you say no. It's because that person is a taker, and you've come to realize that. So if a person in your life is offended at your no, the person is probably the reason for your no. Fourth idea, a person makes a living by what they get, but gains a life by what they give. I really like that. Number 5, people that make more withdrawals, that would be takers. People that make more withdrawals than deposits, that would be the giver, in your life will leave you mentally and emotionally bankrupt. You will have, using banking terms, you'll have insufficient funds in your life to move forward. So you're wanting to be mindful of people that are making more withdrawals than deposits. Number 6, if you are a giver and are in a relationship where you wonder from time to time if you deserve better, you probably do. If you are in a relationship where from time to time you think anything has got to be better than this, you probably do deserve something better. That's a hard one. I realize that. I'm not advocating taking the easy exit lane out of particularly a long-standing relationship. But if you're coming back more often than not, and you're wondering, what there's got to be something better than this. There probably is. And then lastly, and this came out of my own journaling. This is Bill talking personally. I do not give to be rewarded because giving is my reward. I do not give to be rewarded because giving is my reward. You know, admittedly, these 7 ideas, these bullet points are cautionary. Some of them I would even agree with you that they're rather negative sounding, and I get this. But I felt that I wanted to caution those of us who tend to be givers. Personally, I tend to tilt towards giving. I want to help whoever, whenever, and to whatever degree I can. Sometimes that's even financially. Chris shared with me the other day a decision that she had made for us, something she rarely does. It involves our finances, and she says, "You're sitting down, but I'm going to tell you what I've done," and it had to do with a very generous financial gift that she wanted to give, and she felt that it was important. And when we processed that, and again, it was after the fact, but I was in agreement with the decision that she made. I also know that there's another whole group of people who might be listening who might feel less than or not enough. You feel that you're not smart enough or wired or gifted or your abilities are not enough. You use whatever word you want, but to those who feel like you have nothing to give, I want to speak to you specifically. I want you to reconsider becoming more of a giver in this Christmas season. This Christmas, my gift to you would be to encourage you to follow the easternmost part or point on the Christmas compass. That is to say, the point of giving. In 1981, the best picture of the year was Chariots of Fire. It was a film that dramatized the lives of 2 young Olympic runners in the 1924 Olympic Games. One of those runners, Eric Lytle, was asked, "Why do you run?" In his own words, he says, "God made me fast, and when I run, I feel his pleasure." I was with a son in the faith this past week, and he made this comment to me, and he's a very successful businessman. He said, "I'm fast, but God is so much faster." I loved that. For myself personally, when I give, I feel God's pleasure. One of the best places to experience the goodness and presence of God is in serving others, in giving to others. You do not need to have an education or be younger or physically attractive, intelligent sounding, accomplished in whatever field that you're in. You don't have to be a preacher or a teacher or a counselor or to be in some visible setting. You know, of course, I enjoy reading and studying and praying and time at the piano, creating devotional messages like this. In these times, I experience God. But there's something so different about the presence of God that I experience as when I'm giving myself away to others. One Dutch theologian put it this way: Christianity is not so much a message to be believed as it is an experience that results in a faith that becomes a message to others. I'm going to read that again. Christianity is not so much a message to be believed as it is an experience that results in a faith that becomes a message to others. There's 4 ideas here: belief, experience, faith, and others. I give because God first gave to me. This is my belief. My belief continues to be experienced on a nearly a daily basis. Many of my own experiences with God demand a ruthless faith on my part to act, to move out, and And when I do this, this results in further and greater experiences because of my initial faith. And because of my belief and experiences of faith, I feel led to share these stories and insights with others. And this results in the lessons that I give, the books that I write, the lives with others that I get the privilege of being with. To me, that easternmost point on the Christmas compass is giving. And I want to encourage you to find ways of giving extravagantly, anonymously, that is to say, nobody knows except you. So I want to conclude this time together by reading a story to you. I don't do this hardly ever. It's a story that's shared by Brennan Manning, and this comes from his book, Ruthless Trust. And this is the story that he shares. And when I read this, I thought, that goes well with my second Monday. And here it is. I'll read it the best I can if you can listen the best you can. A water bearer in India had 2 large pots, each hung on opposite ends of a pole that he carried across his neck. One of the pots had a crack in it while the other was perfect. The latter always delivered a full portion of water at the end of the long walk from the stream to the master's house. The cracked pot arrived only half full. And every day for a full 2 years, the water bearer delivered only 1.5 pots of water each day. The perfect pot was proud of its accomplishments because it fulfilled magnificently the purpose for which it had been made. But the poor cracked pot was ashamed of its imperfection, miserable that it was able to accomplish only half of what it had been designed to do. After the second year of what was perceived to be a bitter failure, the unhappy pot spoke to the water bearer one day by the stream. And the pot said, "I'm ashamed of myself. I want to apologize to you." "Why?" asked the water bearer. "What are you ashamed of?" "I have been able for these past 2 years to deliver only half my load because this crack in my side caused water to leak all the way back to the master's house. And because of my flaws being cracked, you have to do all this work and you don't get full value for my efforts because I am cracked." The water bearer felt sorry for the old cracked pot, and in his compassion, the water bearer said, "As we return to the master's house today, I want you to notice something. The beautiful flowers along the path." Indeed, as they went up the hill, the cracked pot took notice of the beautiful wildflowers on the one side of the path, bright in the sun's glow, and the sight of those flowers cheered up the pot a little bit. But at the end of the trail, it still felt bad that it had leaked out half of its load, and so again it apologized to the bearer all over again for its failure. And the water bearer said again to the pot, "Did you not notice that there were flowers only on your side of the path and not on the other pot's side? That is because I have always known about your flaw, and I have taken advantage of it. I planted flower seeds on your side of the path, and every day as we walked back from the stream, you have watered those seeds. For 2 years, you have been able to enjoy those. I have picked those beautiful flowers, and I have decorated my master's table, and my master oh so loves those flowers." Manning goes on, and he writes this. The water bearer stunned the cracked pot with the words, "Without you being just the way you are, the master would not have the beauty that graced his house with the wildflowers." The pot had assumed that the whole purpose of its existence was to haul water from the stream to the house. But enfolded within this narrative is the reality that flawed pots can be used by God for a much grander purpose. We formulate plans to fulfill what we perceive to be the purpose of our lives, and when our longings get derailed, we see ourselves as failures. Our disappointments arise from presuming to know the outcome of a particular endeavor. The cracked pot was clueless about its life-giving purpose as a vessel. Often preachers are crestfallen when they think that their most brilliant sermons are not heard, but need to be heard. The cracked pot was sad because it compared itself to a perfect pot. Without the comparison, it would have been happy. You see, comparing your life with somebody else's is very dangerous business. From infancy, we are taught to compare ourselves to others in terms of intelligence, talent, charisma, physical appearance. Infants appear in television commercials, beauty pageants. They are held up as 6-year-olds. Their IQ tests are administered in third grade, and Little League mania rules the home. SAT scores, class rankings, and success in the stock market all become benchmarks that are imperfect. It is important to realize that, again, God seems to use the imperfect things to dawn and to beautify the lives of others. Despite our physical cracks, writes Brennan Manning, intellectual limitations, emotional impairments, spiritual issues, we are all providentially equipped to fulfill what God wants to do, even if we are cracked. By using the gift of humility and allowing ourselves to be poured out so others can be beautified is one of God's great gifts. The pot's weakness became its strength, and it underlies a statement written many years ago. All things work together for the good for those who love God, and that includes even our shortcomings. A key promise made by alcoholics recovering with the help of AA read, no matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. This is week 2 of our Mondays together. I want to encourage you to love in ways that you've never loved. And this week, I'm wanting you to encourage you to give in ways that you've never given before. See you next week.